Good afternoon. This is Deb Amlen for the New York Times, and welcome back to Crosswords Live. We are here today with my solving colleague, Sam Ezersky. How you doing, Sam?
Good to be back, but more importantly, we decided to, drag in a special guest. This might be the first time the constructor of the puzzle has ever shown up on Crosswords Live.
Well, it's more than just a constructor. We conscripted the digital puzzles editor to join us today, Joel Fagliano, who is not just the digital puzzles editor, but also the guy what makes the minis. So if you do the New York Times mini crossword every day, this is the guy you want to be mad at.
Yes. So. That's a great way of putting it, too.
Yeah. No, or the guy you want to applaud, because I know it's very popular and people are hooked on it, just like they're hooked on Spelling Bee, which you edit, Sam. And we are very happy to have you back in the rotation, Joel.
Well, it's great to be here, Deb and Sam. Thanks for having me on. I have watched this many times, but this is my first time on Crosswords Live, so I'm very excited. And as it happens, I also made today's Thursday.
Yeah. And we are very thrilled to have you here and to introduce you to the solving crowd. We're going to get started in just a minute. Sam, would you like to check and see who our constructor is today?
Our constructor today is some guy named Joel Fagliano. According to databases, this is his 63rd puzzle, 63rd crossword for the New York Times.
So it's not a debut then?
Not a debut. I think this is a seasoned vet, as evidenced by how crazy of a grid this was to pull off and the thoughtful cluing behind it. So
and we're going to talk about that more after we solve the puzzle, because just to let everybody know very briefly, this puzzle was 5 years in the making for Joel. So if you are an aspiring constructor and you're frustrated and you're not having a good time doing it, please be assured that even a seasoned and veteran constructor like Joel Fagliano,
who does this full time,
struggle about how to pull off his vision. And I think that there's a great story behind that. We'll talk about that later. But in the meantime, as you can see, we have a very nice looking grid. And I just wanted to let everybody know out there who has not seen this kind of theme before, that your puzzle is not broken.
It's not broken.
It's not. It looks like the clues are missing. You see those dashes there?
Well, that's because they are. I mean, there's a dash there.
Oh, yeah, they are.
A dash there. What the heck's going on? Did we mess something up?
Well, if you look at one across, it says with 5 across, fiance. Huh.
That's so annoying. Is this one of these constructors?
I hate cross-referenced clues, don't you? And there's so many of them. Oh, Piano Man is joining us. Yeah, he says, hi, everyone. Hi, Piano Man. Nice to see you. We're going to start having some comments roll in, Joel. And by the way, I just want you to know, Joel has been kind enough to do a short Q&A if we finish up on time. So you can ask him anything you want. It's sort of like an AMA. Ask him anything about editing crossword puzzles, about the minis, about his beard, anything you want.
Not just coworkers.
Not his coworkers, no. Eddie says it was an unbelievable puzzle, really made him think. So that's a nice that's a nice feedback. Yeah.
The thing I just wanted to say that's interesting to note about the puzzle. I mean, we talk about how every Thursday puzzle has a theme. And usually it's pretty easy to find in like the longest answers in the puzzle. Here, there are hardly any long answers in the puzzle. There's just these 2 long downs. And yet
that can't be a theme.
The theme of the puzzle is just like, I guess, all these dashes. I mean, what could it all mean? It's kind of fun to see all these highlights show up.
All shall be revealed.
All shall be revealed.
Kevin Riordan says he set his Thursday solve time record with this one and really enjoyed it. Which is something we're hearing a lot on Wordplay, that people enjoyed it. They probably zipped through it a lot faster than I did. I sat there and stared at it for a very long time before I figured out what was going on. And my one hint for those of you who are still struggling with it is use the crossings, Luke.
Mm-hmm.
You will do much better if you lean heavily on the downs for this one.
One
Chili,
question I just
yeah,
wanted to ask Joel: did we think this was going to be a Thursday? I mean, usually Thursdays have these crazy gimmicks that solvers take forever to latch onto, and we're hearing all these personal bests. Like, did
Right.
you
So
make this puzzle too easy?
Thursdays are thought of as the trick day, the day when the really crazy things are turning in the grid. We're fitting multiple letters into one square. This also is a very unusual theme, but it turns out that once you crack the trick, the whole puzzle goes a lot faster. So I think
right.
the earlier you crack the trick, you might get your personal best. But if it takes you a little bit, maybe it comes in a little hard.
Okay. Piano Man is here for the beard questions. Chili Bean says 6 down is Opie.
All right, are we getting
That was a
started?
gimme.
Oh, we're off.
Boy on the Andy Griffith Show is Opie. Indeed.
Right.
Well done.
Who grew up to be a famous director. Artie says they enjoyed it as well, close to a personal best. Didn't expect that when I started it and saw all those dashes. Yeah, you and me both.
Joel, what's the easiest clue in the puzzle? Where should we start? What's your
What would be
biggest
your
gimme here?
That's a good question.
Is it
Well,
this one? Is it the names?
I mean, let's start with Ticket Aber that's found inside Ticket Aber. Let's see if anyone can get that.
Do you guys actually call it an aber?
That's the technical term, yes, in crosswords.
See, today I learned. Man, that's great. You guys have a whole jargon that I don't even know about.
It's a deep cut. It's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, ticket. I mean, that's just got to be. It's a nice, clever clue, Joel. That I almost didn't get somehow. But that's ETA is found in the letters of ticket aber abbreviation, right? And that's just really it's so meta that way. I mean, it's just a nice find,
It's a really well written clue. It
only
really
so many clues you can do for ETA as well before you're like, I got to use the same trick in the book over again. So it's always nice to find these fresh clues for stuff like that. So
I mean, it's tough because normally I'll say, oh, there's an easy across answer to start with. But here it's a little trickier. So maybe we should start with some of the downs.
Yeah.
I think that's the way to do it. Artie says that they started with the chemical symbol direction, which I thought was a very clever thing too. I put in so many letters before I actually got it.
Oh, yeah, here we go. Chemical suffix that's also a direction is east, north, east. Or an
right.
ene.
As in something ene. That's the chemical symbol.
Polyethylene.
Meyer Sedan says he's going to say aber from now on. And
excellent.
Me as well. I might even find a way to sneak it into the column if I can get it past the copy desk.
Voice notes, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. I mean, there are all these weird, like, do we just need to focus on the downs before we understand what the heck's going on in the acrosses?
I don't know. I mean, we have that with the across clue. So I would say with 16 across, right where you are now, a real estate show, as somebody who has bought a house within the last 2 years, I would say that would be open house.
So this is just,
oh, look at that.
So it's just this is a nice, interesting way to look at cross references. I mean, there's so many of them. What's the fun in saying C15 across, C17 across? But you only have like one or two of these a puzzle. Joel's found a way to have every last set of
a lot of them
just work together, and they're all pretty good. Pretty good.
Valeria Silvestri is with us from Italy. She says, "Ciao, Joel. Love your minis."
Hey.
Nice.
Open house. So we should just read these together. It's all downhill from here is going to be these two. Graphic artist medium is going to be these two. I mean, they're tough because they're all going to be like, there's not just one 4-letter answer here, right?
It seems like there are 2 words for every one clue.
Well, how about this? Like $100 bills in slang. I mean, plural in the clue is going to be a plural in the answer, right? That's just
right.
Gives you some free real estate here. What's that going to be? Ben's?
I think so, for the Benjamins.
For the Benjamins. We're all here for the Benjamins, right?
Right. Ed, oh boy, Niplamixipsplick says that 5 down is to let.
Is to let. So
Right.
that gives us what's something line and something to be.
Oh, well, I think if it's a fiance with 2 E's, that means it's a woman or someone who identifies as a woman, and it would be wife to be.
Wife to be. What's cool is that over on Xword Info, is a site, nice database of the New York Times Crossword, and all its crazy stats you could want if you're a total data head.
Yep.
It shows us that wife to be as a phrase collectively has never appeared in a New York Times Crossword. There are a lot of fresh phrases here that haven't shown up before, and this is one of them. So Joel really had to exhaust a bunch of options that databases wouldn't show quite yet because they haven't appeared in our puzzles. So very
Brian
creative.
Crowley says hi from Ireland. And Artie says he liked the 1 and 2 across. That was cute.
Yep.
Bruce Giordano says 9 down is shine.
Perform brilliantly is to shine. Nice
Yeah.
one. Items set up in agility drills. It's a fresh clue.
Wow.
So we can put an S at the end there.
Put
There
an
you
S
go.
at the end there, indeed. Wow, no manners. Sometimes you just say one of those quote
That's
clues
just
out loud
rude.
because you know the answer, no matter what day of the week it is. That's rude.
It really is.
Warts and all. Anybody know their hail sizes off the top of their head? This is a fun Thursday.
It really is. It's pea-sized hail. That's what they use in meteorology reports.
One thing that you'll see that Joel does with a lot of his clues is they're very, real world imaginative, which is always fun. Like this clue somehow just has me thinking of agility drills now. Like it's not so much a trivia test. It's like I know this. What's the exact thing I'm looking for here? Thinking about hay rides.
Well, can we
British
skip
pound
over
sign.
to 3 down because Kathy O's has it, and that's quite a bit of real estate to take up there. The genre for Joni Mitchell and Joan Baez is folk music. So thank you.
Folk music. That's a nice cromulent answer by Kathy. Thank you.
Absolutely. We just play cromulent bingo, Joel. Don't mind us.
Okay, I figured that was a thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's very helpful because now we have a lot of answers for these double across.
It just doesn't have, it just, we can't answer this one on its own, even though the K's are friendly.
No, but if we go back one, we get the cross-reference clue. So with 20 across, graphic artists medium, I think that's going to be India Ink.
India Ink. Kind of fun in that it is 3 vowels in a row. I-A-I. This is honestly the best clue in the puzzle. It's a
yes, absolutely. Connection you might miss while flying. I love that because I used to fly a lot and when that was a thing, and I was always angry about the idea that you would purchase this item and then it didn't work that well to begin with. So the connection you might miss sounds like it's a connection between flights, but we've got that question mark clue there.
You can't think about it literally.
You
take
cannot.
away its idiomatic sense of, there's a connection, you got to catch your layover flight.
And people are helping each other along in the comments, which I really like. I think go team, man. I think when you put your heads together, it's always easier to solve. Let's see.
Wi-Fi. I'm throwing it in there. I couldn't.
There you go. So that connection is not a connection between flights. It is being connected to Wi-Fi, which while you're up in the air is understandably very hard to get.
Let's see. It's all downhill from here. Is something line starts with an F. We've got. Oh, this is interesting.
We made down.
What's that?
Zachary, oops, where'd he go? I'm sorry, this thing is like spinning. Zachary Dragicevich, I'm sorry, I hope I pronounced that correctly. It says 10 down is cones.
Cones.
Nice.
Items to set up in agility drills, definitely.
Now, can we get this now, a recyclable metal?
Huh. Well, I don't know. Do you recycle, Joel?
I do recycle. Not usually this, but I do recycle.
There's not a lot of space.
Isn't that what old crosswords were made of?
Yes.
Once upon in the Molesca era.
Yes.
Uh,
So
So I'll just say when I was making this puzzle, I focused a lot on words like 14 across and like 15 across that alternate with vowels and consonants because that really helps with crosswords. So I'd put in a word like open or like 14 across. That would give me some flexibility with the other words above and below.
well, a lot of our viewers are saying that 2 down is Iran. So maybe that'll help us get a little closer.
So it says metal, right? So that's going to be, you can piece this one together. That's what's nice. The clue's not trying to be too tricky here. So that's iron's your metal. Recyclable, it's up the dump. So that's scrap iron, right?
Nice.
So nice. We got a wife to be. We've got scrap. Whoops. We got scrap iron. We got an open house. You know, I'm going to go through all these because this highlighting is so much fun. India ink. How about this one? Something neat with the.
We've got most of the letters here.
Most of the letters.
Oh, this is it's an old phrase, but it's still a good one.
Something opium.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We have a question, Joel. Artie would like to know, does crossing iron and Iran work for constructing? Is it too similar or not?
No, those are actually fine because they have totally separate meanings. And for me, having something like wife and Wi-Fi, which differ by just one letter but totally different meanings, and iron and Iran, I kind of like having that sort of echo.
Yeah.
That's just me.
It also helps the construction, honestly, because...
Yeah, it does. So I think that 17 across is going to be fall line.
That's fall line. And this was Joel's favorite answer in the puzzle. 4 down.
Photo lab request. Man,
Look, there are some duds.
That took me back to like the old kiosks, you know.
Yeah.
But then I actually wrote a whole joke about that in the column, except that I took it out because people still take, you know, files to like CVS or a drugstore and have prints made. So I couldn't really make that joke. Brian Crowley from Ireland says Joel is the bee's knees.
Oh,
hey.
And that gives us 2 answers in the puzzle too, so I'm appreciative of that.
That's awesome.
How about this K? Helps us. K is not the most common letter.
High flyer. I don't know.
Too tricky about this. We've got our baby food form right next to it.
Okay.
You fill out a form to get Gerber food.
Yeah.
Source of power for a golf swing.
See, I knew this one, and I don't even play golf. I knew this because I used to study martial arts, and it may sound like it's not related, but hang in there with me. When you swing, a lot of people think the power in a golf swing comes from your arms, and it doesn't. What you do is you pull back your hips and you torque them the other way, just like you would with a kick or a punch in martial arts. And hips are the powerhouse of the body, not unlike the mitochondria.
I was hoping you were going that route.
No, always.
All right, so here's another one. A bunny hill for one.
Artie thinks that bird and toy is kite. High flyer.
High flyer. Nice. Either way, it is.
I like that one.
Double meaning there.
There you go.
Here's a pasties, e.g. that might be able to get us pies at the end here. What's nice is that you actually see where the line break, where the space is in between multiple words in an answer like this.
Yeah.
Usually you aren't going to see that in
visualize it. Now, I've spent time buying these in various train stations in London. You want to help us out, Joel?
That would be meat pies.
Yeah.
Meat pies. Wonderful. Hayride seats. Just a fun angle for this answer. You can just say like things in a hayfield.
Yeah. Can I? Yes, a lot of people have the answer to that, but Valeria Silvestri, who is in Italy, is not familiar with the idiom bee's knees. Would you like to explain that, Joel?
I have no idea where it comes from. There are some idioms in English that you just scratch your head at and figure there must be a reason this came to mean something cool.
But what does it
Uh,
mean?
it's maybe they carry, something sweet or like honey. It means something that's cool. You're the bee's knees. You're
Exactly.
very cool.
Exactly.
Why? I really don't. I don't even think bees have knees, but
I think it's
maybe really
because
tiny ones. I don't know.
spelling bee is a game very early on. Got so many
Yeah.
players. You say it, you would say it
Right.
has legs. So the bee's knees is it's the enjoyment factor in and around that, I guess. Seems likely. So hayride seats are bales.
Nice.
Yes,
Approximate.
I'm sorry,
No,
Christina
go for it.
E is talking to Piano Man and says, this is hard to not jump in. Christina, jump in. That's what we're all doing. We're all
It's a
putting our
live
heads
solve.
together. I don't mean to single you out, but we want your guesses in the comments.
Do we know the approximate shape of the British pound sign? Crossing meat pies is kind of fun.
I do.
You do? Should we wait for more
do.
guesses, or do you want to spill the beans?
Well, it's sort of like an L with a line through it.
Okay. All right. L. Fun. Okay, here's another interesting pattern, blank blank SLE. So hopefully this helps us.
Oh.
Partisan divide, so to speak.
Now, that was sneaky because it starts with an article.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's still perfectly cromulent as an answer.
I like it. Cromulent for 2. So that's the aisle.
Yep.
It works. The clue makes the article worth it. I think it's fine. Also, I mean, you all are gonna see when this is done just how crazy it is. If Joel is too humble to vouch for how crazy of a construction this is, I, as a fellow constructor, am happy to vouch for it myself. You're gonna have an answer like the aisle. It's
absolutely
crazy that this came together as well as it did.
Pianoman says that Christina and I and a few friends solved this live earlier on Periscope. So what are you doing here? You must really like this puzzle. The couple of people are saying, Nicole Xavier and Bruce Giordano are saying 26 is pull shut.
Is pull shut. Again, another just nice inspired phrase.
Yeah.
Joel, that's a Sam answer. I like that a lot.
Well, it was about this point of the puzzle I started to think, I don't think this is going to be possible, and started to have to pull out things like pull shut and the aisle.
That's right. This was in what, year 3, Joe?
Yeah, something like that. I think I gave up around here.
Okay.
Back up again.
And shoved it in the drawer for another time.
Mm-hmm.
H. Hong says, has a technical question. H. Hong, we would love to help you, but we're basically just feral constructors here. So my best advice to you is to write to nytgames@nytimes.com, because you can get help with your keyboard and through customer service, and that's their address. I hope that helps.
Our developers are there for you.
Yep.
Exhausts. Interesting, because you see exhaust with the S here, and yet at the end of this, there's a T. So this has to be some sort of multi-word. I mean, it's a multi-word verb phrase.
Yeah.
So I guess the S would go here then, right?
I think so, because it's a verb.
Mm-hmm. So then what could this word be?
I've spent a lot of time trying to exhaust children in my life, so I'm going to guess that that's tires out.
You'd say you're spent.
Nice.
Yeah.
Tires out. That's the one. This is about the time where Joel moved on to the puzzle and probably thought, there's hope. We're still moving
We're
along.
getting there. We're halfway there.
Well, you'll see I did little cheat things like putting the and putting out, very common words, to give myself a lot of flexibility.
Yes. Well, that's smart.
Back in the middle section and the left section.
Right. Those are the things you have to think about as a constructor. You don't want, Mixoplizic in a puzzle, because where are you going to go from there?
Yeah.
That actually has appeared in a Times puzzle before. Mr. Mixoplic, the Superman villain. It's like some crazy weird letter blend. It's like MXYZPTLK.
Right. That was from Mad Magazine, wasn't it?
Oh, really?
I think so.
Like
I might be wrong about that.
In any case, moving along, do we have the form that you fill out for Gerber baby food yet?
Yes. Yeah, that's an application, but it doesn't fit.
It is an application on a blender. You can press the puree button.
Ah, there you go.
So that's the one we're looking for. Do we
So I
know the
shouldn't
bunny
have given
hill?
my babies sandwiches then?
What's that?
So I shouldn't have given my babies sandwiches then? Yeah.
Good teething.
They were happy with a Reuben. What did I know?
All right. Bunny hill here. Joel's an avid skier, so this must have nicely hit home.
There you
So
go.
I'm sure you do more than just hit the bunny slopes, huh?
I was going to say, are you a denizen of the bunny slope, Joel?
No, I'm much better than that.
Okay, good.
And tackle the tough stuff.
Right.
That's
The
why you
black
made this one.
diamond.
This was tough because when you put in folk, you really have to do folk music, but then you have a 3-letter word with I, and you're going to need another 5-letter word after that, so it really had to be ski.
Yes.
And
Which means that that's probably going to be pike.
Right.
It
It
is.
could be something like try, TRI, because it had to be 2 separate words, and try is really just a prefix.
Yeah,
right.
exactly. And then we've got buffoon is ass.
Yep.
So
And
we've
yes,
got,
they do say ass in the New York Times crossword puzzle.
they do. We have clued and in that we've clued asses blank backwards before too. So the gray lady likes to let down her hair occasionally.
Once in a while.
Yeah. Once in a while. Whatever we can get away with.
Joel, this reminds me of a question. What is the boundary between what you will put in a puzzle that you consider kind of edgy in terms of language and what you won't put in a puzzle?
Well, I think the rule I use is, will my mom call me and yell at me if she sees it in one of my puzzles? And, ass is borderline, but anything.
The old mom rule.
The old mom rule.
Okay.
And yeah, and then of course there are New York Times standards, and we try to follow those.
Piano Man says, skiing and a beard, you're a badass, Joel. We've had badass in the puzzle.
We have had badass.
We have had badass in the puzzle. We've had smart ass in the puzzle. Joel has put whole ass in a collaboration before.
Whole ass?
Yeah, to do
Hall, Haul. Totally, that's different.
Yeah, sorry. that's a verb phrase
that I
rather than
wouldn't,
what you would call somebody.
That I wouldn't do.
Yeah. Well, one day we're going to get you to tell the LMFAO story, if you don't mind. I know people ask you for that a lot. So let's see. Nicole Xavier agrees with puree. Bruce Giordano says 38 down is L. Ron.
L. Ron?
As in L. Ron Hubbard.
Another piece of fill I'm not proud of.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Whatever gets you past that 3rd year.
It's LeBron. It's just missing a couple letters.
A couple.
Right.
Remained in effect, past tense, but this isn't going to end in ED. So let's think about this. Well, crossing some perfume ingredients. What was that?
No, I was just going to say some perfume ingredients. That word has to be rose.
That's going to be rose. It's not going to be rose petals.
No.
We'll put an S there for the heck of it.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're almost there. Let's bring this home. A lot of people are saying the 39 across is Justa or Wada.
I like that as a cromulent answer for the clue, but SJ, 3 letters, unless it's a word like fjord. I find
unless
not quite sure.
Swedish times.
Yes, exactly.
So other people are guessing Wada, as in wait a sec.
Better to me.
Right.
Wait a sec. That's Waita. That's what Elmer Fudd calls yogurt in an Indian restaurant.
Right. Kathy O has an interesting question that I think we're going to hold for the Q&A, but remind me, Joel, because I forget things.
Sure.
This was in progress for years. Do you start with the answers and the clues, or do you start with the words in the puzzle? That's a basic construction question that we're going to get to in a second. But right now, we're bringing this puzzle home. Come on, let's
Bring
go,
it
guys.
on home.
Yeah, wait a second.
Wait a sec. We've got Rose. So here's like a little pro tip, just as in becoming a better solver. If you see that SW blank blank blank, you know that has to be a vowel right there.
It really does. There's nothing else.
A something rose, E something rose, I something. How about rose oils?
I think so. And Marilyn Johnson says that 34 down is swoon.
Is swoon.
Nice.
Yeah,
Let's
like
check our
Bruce
crossword.
Giordano agrees with that.
Swoony.
Nicole Xavier's finishing off, I can't see the number. I think it's 27 down, stood.
Stood is the one we're looking
Good.
for. Here's
Right.
another long one. The holder of a toothbrush, toothpaste, comb, etc.
Okay, I had a bit of a nit to pick with this one, but go ahead.
It's going to be a toilet bag.
Yep.
What's your nit?
Now, well, it's I generally see it as a toiletry bag, but now clearly you did not have the room for that.
Yeah, I could have, I suppose, put the extra R and the Y and stuck them in the 51 square, but I didn't do that. You know, unnecessary rebus. Couldn't
Suddenly, so
justify it.
unnecessary. That's a great name for a band. I think that yeah, you can't just change the theme right in the middle of the puzzle, can you, Joel?
Unfortunately, no.
Try as we
Okay.
might. And it has been tempting. What's this now?
Where are we? Oh,
Appropriate ratio for this puzzle.
look at that. We have a revealer, sort of.
So, in and around this grid, Joel somehow found a way to sneak in a direct reference to what's going on, too. I mean, Joel,
think
you're
that's-
already like 2/3
that's
of the way through
amazing.
this thing.
At this point, I was just trying to finish it, so the fact that there was serendipitously something that could refer to the theme,
You were like crying with happiness at that point.
it really seemed like a sign. It seemed like a sign that it was meant to be.
Meant to be.
Absolutely.
To be. What? How about this? This is one that, you know, sometimes a good clue. This is a pro tip for constructors here, and it's actually a trap I fall into as a constructor sometimes, as Joel knows. But sometimes a good clue can save an answer that you might have looked at by itself and thought, like, is this enough of a thing? But sometimes the
Right.
clue just absolutely nails it, and you go, that's really satisfying. What a considerate speaker tries to strike. Again, another illustrative clue that just really gets you thinking, right?
I think so.
And
Well,
there's-
what have we got there? What have we got there at the crossings? Because so far we're waiting for people to Artie just got it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You can put in Jesse Owens at 45.
Oh, absolutely.
Sometimes you just know your names.
Richard Treda says 56 across is made, and 56 is a bid.
Oh, made a
Wow.
bid, raised
Nice.
one's paddle.
That's very nice. That's not, hitting the ping pong ball back. That is raising an auction paddle to make a bid.
Though we know Will Shorts liked that clip.
Right.
How about this? Toppled by the wind.
Oh.
Again, another illustrative clue that's going to lead you right to the answer, and that is our goal on the editorial side.
Absolutely. Do we have any of the crossings?
Let's see. Like a blank.
This one got a little bit of blowback, Joel, just to touch, because it could have been, like a rock, like anything.
Too open-ended, you're saying?
A little bit.
Okay.
A little bit. But it is Thursday, right?
Yeah, in fact, with the level of the clues, I tried to make most of the clues kind of easy, which is why some people are saying they had a personal best, because I felt like the rest of this, you're going back and forth, there's so much cross-referencing, it would just be torture to make the rest of it so hard. So there were a couple hard ones in here in the downs. Couldn't help myself.
Tricky ones.
Artie and Richard Treda think that 44 and 46 across are good tone. That's
good
what
tone. There we go.
Is trying to
I like that answer.
Strike.
Yeah,
and Marilyn
Johnson. French departments.
I'm sorry?
I was saying you learned some French departments in the puzzle, but that's okay. I always love learning new things about self-cross.
I had ALP. I had AIX, Aix-en-Provence, but I knew that wasn't right. Wrong location.
You know what, Deb? Joel is there's a hidden message here. Joel is trying to have our live link not get ratioed by suggesting that we should favorite this tweet of us.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
We'll have to do that. I hope everybody go to, if you're watching on Twitter, retweet us, man. Share the love. Tell your friends. Come on down.
What's a sleepover game? Extolling poetry. Any of the Sierra Nevadas, Aber.
I like the Sierra Nevada almost twin clues.
Oh, yeah. With Sierra Nevada, e.g., which was another serendipitous twin clue because it's so hard to clue this answer freshly. It shows up in so many puzzles.
This was a reference actually to my dad's side of the family. They live in the Sierra Nevadas, and we go there every summer. Not this summer, unfortunately, but any normal year summer we go.
Right.
So.
You can look at pictures of them online, though.
Not quite as fun.
So a lot of people are saying we've got Marilyn Johnson, Krishna Prasad, Bruce Giordano, Nicole Xavier says that it's blown down.
It is blown down by the wind.
Toppled by the wind.
I like that there's like, it's an I rhyme. It looks like they should rhyme, but they don't.
Yeah.
Always fun.
Absolutely. And Nicole Xavier also says the exclamation mark at the end makes it boss, like a boss, no argument.
Wow.
Thank you, Nicole. The exclamation point. It had to be.
Nicole, if you disagree.
I always spelled it BAWSE.
Oh, yeah, like a boss.
Like a bow. Just like Andy Samberg says it.
Right.
A Quaker in the woods. Lowercase.
Okay. Quaker in the woods. I like this one. I think it's a great way. Now, notice that the word Quaker does not have a capital. So we're not talking about people who are friends, the
William
Quaker.
Penn.
We are talking about a type of tree called the quaking aspen.
That is the aspen tree.
Exactly.
Nice one. Cool answer to just fit in there at the bottom too. There are so many just fun phrases throughout this puzzle.
Piano Man loves I rhymes, so. And Billy Haas says the sleepover game is truth or dare.
Dare at 49 down.
We're almost there. Come on, let's do this.
And then this is, a little Thursday-ish. Extolling poetry is, it masks the plural for odes. Poetry is the collective here. Any of the Sierra Nevadas, Aber. Mountain.
Exactly.
Help us with 61 across, right?
Some retirement savings. That's got to be nest eggs.
Nest eggs.
Plural clue, plural answer.
I'm sure that was, Joel, incredibly fun to come across while constructing. Just like, I get to end this with like a perfectly good phrase too. You really knew it together.
I think most of them are very good phrases. I really enjoyed this.
Lots of E's and S's, which helps on the bottom.
Exactly. Yeah. And G's here, so you probably know that that's an N. Piece of turkey.
One of my favorites. That's got to be a wing.
I'm not as big on the wings myself.
Okay.
That's okay. More for others.
So that TW right there, appropriate ratio for this puzzle. If it's a ratio, it's got to be a number. So I'm going to say that word is 2.
2. Now, how do you say a ratio aloud? We've got one number, so it's 2.
2 colon.
Goodness. As 2. Or is 2, that's the answer that shows up in puzzles.
Well, we've got some people who are getting there. Anonymous and Valeria Silvestri say that 53 down is odds.
Odds,
Maybe
casino
odds ever in your favor.
We've also got one more here. Ones whose livelihoods are derived from agriculture or forestry work. This one was a thinker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely limping across the finish line here.
Don't be hard. Again, the clues can save the answers, and this one, you see,
tried its best. It certainly tried its best. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure we'd give this answer a big check mark in a
But
theme.
you know what? You Google it, and if it's got a hit, man, it's there. It's legit.
So land sumps blank blank S's.
One I know of that's 3 letters and has an A in the middle, as far as I know. I hope I'm not wrong. Is tau.
It's tau. That U will be nice and helpful to us.
Right.
So land ushers.
Yes.
Land
You-
USB-C chargers.
Right.
Land plural USSRs.
Meyer Sedan has a good question for the Q&A that we're going to try to get to any moment now. So let's do this. An easy run is a lope.
Is a lope. That's land users.
Yep.
Then so it's what? How do you parse this? It's two. I don't know. Is this a real word? Like
It's, I know. Ooh, call on me. Call on
Deb,
me.
what's up? Yes.
I know that it's got to be 221, which it matches
One.
the fact that there are two entries for every one clue.
You ready?
Woo!
Wow.
Joel, we solved your Thursday puzzle, man.
Congratulations.
And it only
That was
took
dope.
us like 45 minutes after the 5 years of work and sweat you put in.
That seems like a fair trade to me.
I think so.
Exactly.
I think so.
It's
I really enjoyed it. I really did. For somebody who does not like cross-referencing, this was a pleasure. It
Yes.
really was.
Every last one of these. Wife to be. I warned you all I was gonna go through all these because it's truly a work of art here. Hall of
Okay,
Fame.
we're about 15
Open house.
minutes.
Fall line. India ink. Bee's knees. Meat pies. Pull shut. The aisle. Tires out. Ski slope. Wait a sec. Rose oil's good tone. Blow down. 2-1 because
Right.
two answers into
Right.
one. Made a bid. Aspen tree. Land users and nest eggs. Wonderful job, Joel. Wonderful puzzle.
Really
And solvers hope you enjoyed it.
awesome. And now we get to ask Joel some questions, and there have already been some. We had one before, which of course I've already forgotten. Joel, did you remember it like I asked you?
Yes, so the question was whether I started with the clues here or whether I started with the answers in the grid. And I actually started with the answers. I just tried to make an interlock of words that would follow this particular theme first, and then when at long last I finished it, then I wrote the clues for the answers.
Okay. And then Meyer Sedan would like to know, have there ever been any reference to the same day's daily crossword in the mini? So in other words, is there any cross-pollination?
There was one time I had a Monday puzzle on April Fools where it had beeline and it was just bees all across the grid and things like that. And on that same day, April Fools, I did the same trick in the mini because I made both of them, so I might as well carry on the through. And other than that, I try not to duplicate clues from the daily puzzle to the mini because I want them to be different experiences.
Right. Now, Artie wants to know, at what point do you just honestly give up? What time do you say, I can't make the answers any better?
This hits home.
Yeah.
So for this puzzle in particular, it was about 1/3 of the way down. When astute people will notice that the grid is actually 14 squares by 15 squares. So I even had tried my first version of this to just do it with a normal grid, and I couldn't. I just tried and tried, banged my head against it. And I realized, as with solving a crossword, if you get up and you walk away from it and you come back, oftentimes it gets a little easier. So I thought I would try that, but put maybe a year in between because it tuckered me out so much the first time. I don't know. I'm somebody who's very persistent with puzzle making. I like a challenge, and this was the biggest challenge I've ever had in terms of any puzzle I've made. So
It really is. It really is incredibly well put together. I mean, as somebody who has made puzzles too, I'm not prolific, but I think that I don't know how you did this. I really don't.
Don't try this at home, kids.
Don't try this at home. Billy Howe would like me, if there's time left, to tell some of the stories behind 3 truths and a lie. Yeah, that's not going to happen, Billy. I'm sorry. They are true. I promise you that. I played a little game based on Ross Trudeau's lies puzzle the other day, Web of Lies puzzle. So I told 3 truths about myself and 1 lie, and people seem to be really, really fascinated with how wacky my life has been. Let's see. Brian Crowley would like to know, is it just me or does the mini crossword have hints for future big puzzles? A lot of people want to know that.
I wonder if there's something, because I help to edit the bigger puzzles, and that happens weeks before I make the mini. So I wonder if there's maybe some inception that comes in and little hint like reference.
Subconsciously?
But no, not consciously.
No, subconsciously, yeah.
Subconsciously, possibly.
Yes. New York Times Daily Mini Leaderboard would like to know, for Joel, what is your favorite clue that you've ever written and your least
Ooh.
favorite? That's a great question.
I want to
Ooh,
hear the
that's
least favorite.
You know, I'm gonna have to think on that. Can I give it to you guys and you can say it on the next live or something like that?
Sure, absolutely.
I
You
haven't
have,
answered that
I
already.
mean, can you think of one just off the top of your head, even if it wasn't written by you, one that you really like?
Sure. So I know Will Shortz's favorite clue,
Yeah,
and his favorite clue is it turns into another story, and you're
right.
thinking, oh, what could that be? How could that work? And the answer was spiral staircase.
I
So
love
it
that.
turns
There's
into another.
another story in a house, which is
Brilliant,
great.
brilliant bit of wordplay for sure.
Absolutely. Artie says that they are stuck on a puzzle, got the theme, good to know it can take up to a year. Absolutely. Artie,
Awesome.
people do this all the time, put it away, walk away, do something else for a long time and come back to it. You never know. It's always good to come back to things with fresh eyes. Let's see. Okay, Michael Gibbons would like the theme explained. He says, I'm sure I missed this, but how exactly are the answers reflective of 2-to-1 odds?
The way I saw it is there are two answers for every what would normally just be two clues. Sorry for. See, now I'm getting wrapped around the axle of my own theme.
There are two entries for every one clue in the acrosses.
There we go. That's what I was trying to say, and that, as you can see,
know.
it was confusing even to me. So
I may go into a career as a writer. I don't know.
We'll stick to the puzzles.
John Doyle asks the question of the day: which one is Joel? Not it. Yeah, he's got that, but he also wants to know, I love solving crossword puzzles, but I've tried to construct one and I've no idea how to even start. That's a great question. How do you get started, Joel?
Well, I'd recommend first and foremost looking up Deb Amlen put together a guide to crossword construction, which if you Google wordplay and guide to crossword constructing, it'll come up. That's
How
got
to make a crossword.
How to make a crossword puzzle. That's got a ton of great tips.
Also on the front, on the main wordplay page, we have a bunch of articles. We've got the big animated guide on how to solve, and then we've got a few different features. I think in the lower right-hand corner, we have the how to make a crossword series, which was pairs of friends of mine who are New York Times constructors, each taking a step along the way, starting with developing the theme, then developing the grid, then filling the grid, and then cluing. And then Joel and Will Shortz wrote a piece at the end, I think it was the 5th installment, talking about how they edit crossword puzzles and what happens after you send it in, because I think that's sort of like a real blind spot for people. They put their thing in the mail, they kiss it goodbye, and then they don't know what happens to it. So it usually gets into the hands of Sam or somebody like him, and then it gets passed along, and Sam and Joel and Will edit the puzzle, and you can read more about that on Wordplay. Let's see. Does the editorial team change the clues, the answers? How many of this clue and answer stayed as is? So,
that's an interesting.
Do you and Sam and Will change any of the clues and the answers? And how did you fare on this?
So yeah, often we change about half the clues in a puzzle. And that's for different reasons. It might be for the difficulty. So the Monday's the easiest and the Saturday is the hardest. It might be for it's factually inaccurate, or maybe we just think of a funny or good clue and we want to include it. It's a little funny when Will's editing my work, because obviously changing it means I didn't write a good clue. But he made some.
Do you run out of the room screaming? I mean, when you guys could all be in the same room, do you run out of the room screaming when he edits?
We don't come to blows, but normally I turn around and kind of give him his space when he's doing it, so I'm not just staring at him in the face while he's injecting clues of mine.
Big puppy dog eyes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's cool. The New York Times Daily Mini Leaderboard says that their account tweets out the top 3 times from the person behind that account's leaderboard every day, and would love to expand the 25-person limit if possible. So, you know what? I'm going to give you the same advice I gave to the person who came in here before. Drop a note to our customer care center at NYT Games. Is it NY Times or NYT?
And NYT Games at
nytimes.com. That will go to customer care. That is where you should send all of your technical questions. Please don't tweet them at us, because like I said, we can't help you. We're editorial. We just play with the words. But if you want something that has to do with how the site or the app is programmed, please write to nytgames@nytimes.com and let them know, because if you don't let them know, they don't know that that's something that people would like. Let's see. John Doyle says, thanks. The New York Times crossword puzzle is a celebration of life. I like that.
That's really nice.
That's the goal. Yeah. I like that a lot too.
Krishna Prasad, and then we're going to have to wrap this up in a bit. How much do you use automatic word lists, and how much do you fit your own words while constructing?
Yeah, so in a normal puzzle, when I would be making a normal puzzle, I would use the assistance of a computer to help me choose out words for the fill. You don't want to fully go by what the computer says, because your human touch should be on the puzzle, what you find interesting and what you think makes for a good puzzle. In this case, I really couldn't, right? Because if a computer doesn't know that when you put in scrap, you're going to need iron on the other side, or when you put in open, you need a word that goes after open that has a vowel here and all that stuff. So for this puzzle, it was just purely basically handmade.
I was going to say,
force.
This was artisanally made. It's bespoke.
Which is why it took 5 years.
There is the official, the official New York Times, stone chisel that Joel used to etch this all manually.
Joel, this is the last question we're going to take, because Joel has to go. Brian Crowley would like you to tell the story, because he loved it, about that time someone dissed the mini puzzle as being easy, and Joel replied to that person through a clue.
Okay, so in the early days of the mini had been running for about a year or year and a half at that point. Slate.com wrote an article called "The Mini Crossword is an Utter Disgrace" was the headline they went with that day. And I read that article, and there's occasional criticism online, but I try to block it out. But for some reason, just an entire article devoted saying that I was bad at my job at that point really irked me, but I knew, I probably shouldn't do anything about this. But I had this idea that I would...
And then the devil got hold of you.
And then, the other person on my shoulder said, well, what you could do is just a little coded shot at them. Right. So the next day's mini had the answer awful, and then below it, the answer piece, which was clued as like rook or pawn in chess, and then slate, which is clued as roofing option or something. So sort of disguised, all stacked on top of each other, awful, piece, slate. And I thought no one would notice. In my mind, no one was going to notice this. And of course,
who's even reading this stuff?
Emails from my bosses poured in. Slate wrote another article where they applauded me for it and said, okay, touche, maybe it's not so bad after all. So that was the time I sort of pushed the limits, maybe.
But that's a healthy thing, at least my therapist tells me. The thing that I thought you might find interesting is that the Times announced yesterday that Ruth Graham, who I think was the author of that,
Ruth Graham,
has joined the New York Times.
I saw that too.
Oh, that's amazing.
Like, let's go.
She's going to find you.
Oh, we'll have to get a coffee and hash it out. That'll be great.
Coffee.
Yeah. Great.
Anyway, Joel, I wanted to thank you so much for joining us here. This was such a pleasure.
Thank you guys for having me on. This was great.
Yeah. This was fun. Thank you, solvers, as always. It's a pleasure. We'll be back next Thursday at 1.
Yes, next Thursday we'll be back with podcaster Hrishikesh Hirway, and he will be our special guest. And in the meantime, we've been on with Joel Fagliano, digital puzzles editor, and mini writer for the New York Times. Joel, do you have anything coming out that you'd like to tell people about? Any mini books or anything?
No, just keep solving the minis.
All right. And keep solving the dailies. Otherwise,
Keep
I
solving the
have
dailies.
So,
Those two.
right. Anyway, this is Deb Amlen and Sam Ezersky and Joel Fagliano for the New York Times, wishing you a happy Thursday. Thanks
Have a
again.
good one, everybody.